Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rusch Academy, Mastering RPI, and this is the French Fry course review. I'm Rebecca. I'm going to be your teammate here. I'm a course designer. I know this course better than anyone else in the world, and I'm joined by Coach Tim, and our goal today is to take you through this course and really give you an intimate, eyes-on view of everything that you're going to see out there. So we'll break it down mile per mile, and really tell you some tips of what I know about the course and also what Tim knows about the course from a science and Stoke background. So here we go. Let's dive right in. Here's an overview of the French Fry course. So distance, 56.2 miles, elevation, 4,386 feet of climbing, and the terrain is 90% gravel, 10% pavement, which I love. This is a gravel event. And really, you're gonna see such a cool location in the world, and mostly gravel. So let's break it down. You can see the course profile there, and I'm going to tell you, people always tell me our course profile doesn't look that intimidating. You know, it's not a ton of climbing. It's a sufficient amount, but it's not a ton. But there are some sleeper sections of this course that really, you know, you can't tell from on paper and looking at the course profile really what's going on out there. So we're going to dive in and take it step by step here. So here's kind of the breakdown of the course. Along the top, you see some of the major features like Trail Creek Climb, Big Lost River Valley Wild Horse Loop, and the Trail Creek Descent. And along the bottom, you see the mileages for the aid stations that you'll hit on the outbound and the return. So you can kind of know what's going on. So that's the general overview. What we're going to do now is start at the beginning and break it all down. So I will tell you, the very beginning of the ride, a lot of people get really intimidated by a mass start event, including me, which is why I designed the course this way. The start is neutral, so it's really good news. We start, the baked potato folks will go first, and then all of the French fry people will line up together and start 10 minutes after the baked potato. So you don't have to worry about being mixed in a group at the beginning that isn't on your course. So you'll be just with the French fry people, and it's neutral. So we have, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles of really neutral riding. It's nice pavement. You can warm up. You can use that time to chat and say hello. So no need to be stressed at the start and like jockeying for position right when the gun goes off. So just take it easy. And then the big sort of first big feature of the ride, the neutral vehicles will roll away. You've got some more pavement, and then you're going to get onto the Trail Creek Climb. And that's the first really big obstacle in the course. It's the biggest climb of the day. It's a section that many people get intimidated about on the uphill and the downhill. So we're going to talk about the uphill first. So here's some of the stats. So it starts at about mile 7.5 and ends mile 11.7. So it's a more than 4 mile climb. It's a pretty gradual grade. You can see where it is on the map. And here's the Strava segment. So 4.16 miles, 1,500 feet of climbing, average grade of 6.5%. And so you can look up, you can go into Strava, you can kind of look up some average times, some stats. You'll see my name up and down this climb quite a few times. I've done it a bunch, and I've done it a bunch and included it in RPI because it's my favorite climb in the entire world. I never get tired of this climb. And what I love about it, here's some things I love about it. One, it's steepest at the bottom, which is great. So you get the steeper part over first. And you'll about a quarter of it is pavement. So you'll start the climb, the steepest part is on pavement, and it gradually starts to mellow as you get towards the top. So that's great news for your pacing. It's great news that it comes early in the race because you get warm. I will tell you, it's cold at the start of Rebecca's Private Idaho. We've had everywhere from 26 degrees Fahrenheit at the start to usually it's about 40 degrees in the morning about the time that we start. So you'll kind of welcome this climb because it'll give you a chance to warm up, and you've had a neutral start warm up. The gravel starts here, and you won't see pavement again until you return to this very spot. So the entire rest of the course is gravel until you're coming down and heading home. It's the longest climb of the course by far, and some things to consider. It's a very high elevation. Town is 5,800 feet. The top of the climb is right up around near 8,000 feet. So if you're coming from low elevations, make sure you take that into consideration with your pacing, your hydration, that you're coming to high elevation. You're going to feel real dry. It's pretty dry here in course, even though we're in the mountains. It is a high desert kind of atmosphere. Other things to think about, this is one of the only passages east to west over the Pioneer Mountains that we'll be crossing. So you're literally crossing a mountain range on this climb, but it's one of the only ways through for 50 miles either direction. So it is an open road. There is traffic on the road. You'll see motorcycles, you'll see vehicles, you'll see other riders. And so it's really important that we're a big group en masse, but we don't own the road. So staying right, rules of the road, it's usually not a problem climbing. We'll talk about it on descending, but oftentimes there are washboards. It's real bumpy, the best line, you're sort of shopping for the best, smoothest line. And often that isn't on the right side of the road. So just keep in mind, it's a single lane, open mountain road that's open to other traffic. And like I said, you're gonna get nice and warm climbing up this hill. You'll feel cold at the start, and you'll really kind of welcome the climb because it's a nice way to warm up. The other thing I really love about Trail Creek Climb is it really puts people in a group of other people that are your similar pace. So the design of this course, for neutral start, and then you climb right away, and that really sets you up. So you're in a group of people that are your riders. They're your posse. They're the people that you might be with for the rest of the ride. So it's not like you're trying to hang on to a pace line with people that are faster than you. This really does put you right in with people that are about your speed. So it's a nice equalizer in some way to like put everybody with their friends, with the people that you're going to be with during the day. So settle in on this climb. Don't be intimidated by it. And if you're in that pain cave, but you're still fresh. It's the beginning of the race. You're hydrated, you're staying topped off. And don't forget to look around and enjoy the view because it is really quite stunning. It's one of my favorite hills climbs in the whole entire world. And so, Coach Tim, what is your advice, your science advice for pacing and getting up this hill successfully?
Well, I have two areas of advice, the kind of science coaching side of it. One, a general idea. Don't start too hard. Use that neutral rollout. It's great because it should be a warm-up. If you're pushing the neutral rollout too hard and too aggressive, it's only going to get you in trouble on the climb anyway. Use that neutral as a warm-up. But when you get to the steeper sections on the bottom, when you start the climb, you're going to be jack full of adrenaline and ready to go. And for the first minute or two, you're going to feel amazing. But then as that adrenaline starts wearing off, you always get a case of the uh-ohs, like, uh-oh, this might have been a little too hard. So the way I want you to think about it is start a little slower. And then as the gradient gets a little less and you get closer to the top, then if you can, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. Think about it this way. Like you go out to the store and you buy a throw rug or a carpet, and you roll it up and you bring it home, and when you unroll it on your floor, it starts out rolling really slow, but then it goes faster and faster and faster and rolls all the way out. That's the way I want you to think about your climb, like unrolling the carpet. Just roll it out, good, slow, steady start, then faster as you go to the top. This, and the French fry course particularly, this climb can be so impactful. You need to think about that. Two, I have a little bit of advice, what I call race and pace. Now, most of us will go with two goals. Of course, some of us will have, I want to be on the podium. I'm absolutely going for the win. I want to be top 10, and your goal is race. So therefore, the pace that's going to be dictated on this hill is going to be keeping up with the top 3, the top 10, whatever that number is. And some people are like, I want to complete this in X amount of hours. You have a goal time pace, and your goal is to just hit that pace. Either way, this first hill can get you in trouble without a pacing plan. And here's how I recommend you do it. I have this rule that I call the 10-20 rule. And the 10-20 rule is based off your threshold or your functional threshold power. I'm going to talk about it as power. So many people train with power, but at least it will give you an idea. You can do the same with your heart rate threshold and targets. And my 20-10 rule is when you hit that climb, don't go more than 10% over your FTP, over that threshold. Because, and yeah, you're gonna have to do it a little bit here and there as you pass or you're fighting for a good line, but don't do it in a sustainable way, because what's gonna happen is that's too fatiguing. And at some given point, you're gonna blow up further up that climb, and you're gonna pay the price by having to really slow down to recover. So don't go more than 10% above your threshold. But on the same side, some people hear us talking about how hard this hill is and how impactful it is. You get too conservative. So we have a lower number based off your threshold. Don't go more than 20% lower or 80% of your threshold. So 10, no more than 10 above, no more than 20 below. So the lowest number you should be climbing at is about 80% of your threshold power. And the reality is that will keep you in the range where you'll probably get up this hill as fast as you're capable of, particularly if you start slow and build through that range of power, right? It'll get you up at the fastest way without blowing you up and loading the system with too much byproducts and lactate and forcing you to slow down. So in summary, don't start too hard, don't start too hard, don't start too hard. Everybody does it. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to hit the bottom hill, you're going to be all jacked up and want to do it. Don't start too hard. 2, use the 10-20 rule to kind of be the banks of your river. Don't get crazy out there.
I love that. And, for people who are wondering kind of what is my FTP and how do I do all that? I'm just going to give a little plug for the Rusch Academy Boost Your Gravel Game. Tim has a whole chapter on training and pacing and your FTP. And so if that's something you want to dive a little deeper into, we have that class in Rusch Academy as well. And I really love that rolling out your Trail Creek red carpet, is like roll it out and then it starts to go faster and faster and faster. And this hill is designed that way. Like I said, it's steepest at the bottom and then it starts to mellow as you get towards the top. So, check your mileage, look at the Strava segment, because there is real power in the knowledge that this climb is 4.2 miles. And so when you're at 3 miles, you kind of know where you are on the course, instead of just being like, well, I know it's a big hill, I'll get up it whenever I get up it. Go ahead on Strava and look at some average climbing times. You're looking at 20 minutes and change to upward of an hour for some people. So depending on your pace, I just like to know. I know I'm going to be climbing for an hour and I know how to pace for that. So do a little research on that, because this really is it's one of your biggest obstacles of this entire course is this Trail Creek climb. And like I said, it spreads everyone out really nicely. You'll also start interspersing with some of the back of the pack of the baked potato route. So don't worry if you're like catching people. That's motivating too. Say hi, give a wave, and give them some encouragement up the hill as well. All right, that is Trail Creek Climb. So next, when you summit Trail Creek Climb, you'll hit that first rest stop, which is Trail Creek aid station, and you'll roll over the backside. Stop if you need to get something. That's your highest elevation point of the course. And then you're going to come into this middle section that really is, it's a bit of a sleeper section. It doesn't look like that big of a deal. It's the Big Lost River Valley. It's an appropriate name because you are very remote. You're out of cell phone range. There are very few homes or developments. It looks like it did 200 years ago out there. It's a pretty special place. So as you roll over the backside of Trail Creek, you're going to start going real fast, and you're going to start opening up this beautiful river valley where you're going to see antelope, you're going to see mountain views, and it's pretty exciting. It's also the fastest section of the course, this backside of Trail Creek. So let's break into that a little bit. Here's what it looks like on the map. It's about, mile 15 to 32. And then the Wild Horse Loop starts at about mile 24 to 32. So that's that little red lollipop that you see at the end of the course there. Okay, so in the Big Lost River Valley, as I said, it's a wide open, really beautiful valley, but that also means wind. There's nothing to break the wind or the dust. It's always windy there. The beautiful part is you're going to get a tailwind on the way out. You're outbound, which is really fun. You've been slogging up Trail Creek, and then all of a sudden you get over the side and you're going 25 miles an hour. And you're like, oh my gosh, who turned on the accelerator? And it's really exciting. It's really fun. People start grouping up there. So that's a good place to start making friends and getting in a pace line for drafting. Keep in mind, if you are in a group, we are on a gravel road. So that means cattle guards. If you don't know what they are, you'll find them soon. They're quite bumpy. And they're meant to keep cattle contained, but they're real bumpy, and especially if you don't see them coming. If you've got your nose, right in someone else's tire, they can be a bit of a surprise. You've also got washboards, which are basically like they're just sort of like these very cruel bumps in the road that are from the cars braking, and it's like so you'll be going through some washboards. You're also going to get dust kicked up in your face. I'm often wearing a buff to pull up or a neck gaiter for dust. So it is quite fast part of the course, but pay attention if you're not used to riding in a group. You're going to be flying, and it's really fun. So make some friends out there, communicate, work together, enjoy the view, look for antelope. They sometimes run across the road unexpectedly. And then the second part there, you'll be on this fast section, you'll make a quick right turn, and then you're going to be approaching your second aid station, which is Wild Horse, about at mile 25. And you can see from the signs here, or from the photos here, little group drafting. The nice part, you've got 1,500 people that started this course, but because of Trail Creek Climb, once you're over that, you're all in little groups of maybe 1 or 2 or 10 people. So it does feel good to sort of have your little group. And it's why I called it Rebecca's Private Idaho, because even though it's a big event, you really do find some solitude and some quiet time out there with just a handful of other riders, and you can see that from the photos. And then you're going to come to really one part of the course that is the most confusing part of the course. This is where the French fry and the baked potatoes split. And I will say that every year we have people who sign up for the French fry route, and they accidentally go on the baked potato route, and all of a sudden they're like, this seems way longer than 56 miles. So we even had Olympian Kristen Armstrong made the wrong turn here. So it happens to everyone. She meant to do the French fry, she ended up doing the baked potato, and vice versa. We have baked potato riders who end up doing the French fry and they're disappointed. So at this Wild Horse rest stop, there's a course split, there's a 3-way intersection. Slow down, take a minute, make sure you stay on the right course. It's still open roads at this 3-way intersection. So get what you need at the rest stop, pull off to the side, make sure you don't T-bone anybody, and just be heads up. It's very congested here because the 2 courses are coming together and there's a rest stop. So then you go into the Wild Horse Loop, which is my favorite part of this course. And I turn everyone in there because it's a little bit bumpier. It's a little more technical. So you're probably going to come off that pace line a little bit so that you can see the embedded rocks. You can see what's coming. It is still a 2-lane road, but it's quite a bit bumpier. And so take your time there. It's a place that's sort of known for flat tires. It's not a long loop, but it's really cool. It's really beautiful. I love the technical aspect of it. And I also love the view. You'll be pointing right in at the backside of the Pioneer Mountains when you turn onto Wild Horse. So, drop back from the pace line, take a look up, get your technical skills on, and then you'll go around that loop and come right back to the rest stop at Wild Horse. So if you don't want to hit it, on your outbound, you're going to see it again in 6 more miles. So it's kind of up to you, but make sure you don't miss that sign. You can see it in the presentation here. The French fry route, you're going to go left when you get back around the Wild Horse Loop, and then you're headed home. You're on your way back. So, Tim, what do you have for this section that is all about the pacing and the pace line, and then also this little technical loop?
Well, from the science coaching side of things, it's really, this is a section about what I call speed economy, not the physiological economy, but speed economy. And here's what it is. When you're riding a bike, and let's say you stop at the aid station, make the appropriate turn, the going from 0 to 20 to 10 to 20 miles an hour on a bike, you're building up what's known as kinetic energy in the bike, and that's stored energy in there. And then once we're up to our speed, our 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, heading out with a nice little tailwind, hopefully, you want to maintain that kinetic energy. Is what we end up loosely calling momentum. But every time you have to brake hard or slow down or lose all that, you have to rebuild that kinetic energy back up into the system. And that takes a physiological cost. And the way I like to explain that physiological cost, think about driving your car and you're going to go out and drive 40 miles in 1 hour. If you get in your car and you push down the accelerator and get up to 40 miles and hold it at exactly 40 miles per hour, your car gets great gas mileage, doesn't it? Like 30 miles a gallon, 40 miles a gallon. But if you did the same course, 40 miles in 1 hour, and you slam down on the accelerator and then you let go and coast down to zero, then you slam down on the accelerator up to 80 and then you coast down to zero, and you do your 40 miles an hour that way, you don't get very good gas mileage because you're building kinetic energy even in that system. The ability to accelerate the higher demand of going from zero to the high speed, and you end up getting 20 miles per gallon. Well, the same is true for you as a human. You have a similarity there, right? So if you can be more smooth, make speed economy. So I would rather see you actually during this whole midsection go 1 mile an hour slower than you feel you could go if you absolutely push the ragged edge, but limit the deaccelerations, which lead to accelerations, which lead you to burning non-productive energy. You've just burned a lot of energy getting up Trail Creek. Your speeds are, your average speed is probably pretty low. Here's where you use that mentality. What's the fastest speed I can go, and maintain or limit the accelerating phenomenon, because I want the best gas mileage up here. I want to preserve. I only have so much fuel in the tank. That is me. Even if I'm eating well, I still only have so much fuel. I want to preserve it and make the most of it here and translate it to speed over the entire Big Lost River and Wild Horse Loop, not just the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's like smooth is fast. We've talked about that before. And, you also, always have a good point about when you are getting in a group and a little pace line, there's so much economy if you can draft someone, as long as you're comfortable doing that. And a lot of people on gravel, maybe they come from the mountain bike world, they don't come from the road world, and they're not used to drafting. And so Coach Tim always has great advice of like, talk to the people around you, organize the group a little bit so that you're like, hey, let's work together. Let's, do this together. And there's so much economy. And like he said, maybe you could go a teeny bit faster or push harder than the group is going, but actually your miles per hour are going to be faster if you hang back a little bit. Maybe you use that time in the pace line to get some food and drink, so that then when you are out on the Wild Horse Loop and you're separated again from the group because it's a little more technical, you've got energy and you've saved some of that economy to use at a later time. So make friends out there, talk to people. If people don't look like they know what they're doing in the small groups, then just talk and educate them and be like, okay, cool, let's do this together. Let's work together.
People don't talk enough in doing that. It's a total, like, we get intimidated, or maybe somebody yelled at us in a prior race, because occasionally, unfortunately, there are people who will do that. But if you just like, hey, I'm going to keep this pace up. You guys interested in working with me? Is everybody? You'd be surprised how many people are like, oh yeah, let's do that. And if we just keep the right raced attitude, we just be kind to each other and work together, you'd be surprised how many friends you make. And there is no better economy than drafting. That is the ultimate secret.
Yeah, it's really fun to see the alliances and the groups that form out there and the friendships that form out there. It's one of the things I really love. You'll probably see me out there too. I ride around and take polls for people. And so if you're in my group, I'll be at the front and I'll take a poll and I'll help you get around that loop a little bit faster. All right, let's go into the backside of Trail Creek. So you've gone around Wild Horse. You've hit the Wild Horse rest stop a second time, and go ahead and make sure you're at least hitting that on the outbound or the inbound and getting some nutrition. I'll also tell you there's a potato gun shooting contest that happens there. That's actually really fun, Idaho style. You could win a set of Envy wheels if you can shoot a potato gun with any sort of accuracy, which I cannot. But it's a really fun thing that takes part there. And like Tim said, some people are racing, some people are there for completion. So it's up to you whether you're gonna, fly through there, grab a water bottle or a Red Bull and keep going, or whether you're gonna shoot a potato gun. But after you leave Wild Horse aid station for the second time, that's where you're going to get you're going back through the Big Lost River Valley, and you've got the backside of Trail Creek Climb. So remember that beautiful tailwind we had on the way out?
Surprise.
Well, I have news for you. It's always a headwind on the way home. So you're gonna turn from Wild Horse rest stop, and you have a long, slow climb up the backside of Trail Creek. It's kind of deceiving. It's about 10 miles long, and it looks like a flat road. It is not a flat road. As you can see from this course profile, it's a long, gradual hill climb, and you almost always have a headwind. And so morally, this can really break you down mentally, because you're like, this is a flat road. Why am I going 6 miles an hour? What is my problem? One, you're tired. You're nearing, you're 3/4 of the way through, you're nearing the finish line. Number two, it's uphill and it's a headwind, and it doesn't seem like an uphill. But you can see from the course profile it is. So the backside of Trail Creek is kind of deceiving. When you get to the little steep part right at the end, that's super short. It's nothing like the front side was, but you have that long, slow grind up to it. So make sure in this section that you are finding friends. Again, get together, even if you're not, getting a good draft, there's moral support in, misery loves company. And so there's moral support in having someone to even trade poles with, or even ride side by side and just give each other high fives and talk to each other. And make sure you're still eating and drinking on this side, because you're thinking, it's all downhill to the end. Keep your energy stores up here, because like I said, this is the sleeper part of the course that I feel like is a bigger challenge than climbing Trail Creek, is climbing the backside of Trail Creek. So to me, this is the key place to really use all your tools of motivation, nutrition, finding friends, looking at the beautiful scenery. This is the place where you're digging into that motivational menu and pulling a bunch of things out, and making sure you're really efficient and getting up that climb. And you'll get around the corner and get to the top of Trail Creek. You don't even see it until you're there. And it's a nice surprise. You're like, is this the end? Is this the end? And then all of a sudden you pop out and there you are, at the top of Trail Creek again. So Tim, do you have any advice for a long, slow grinder climb like this?
Yeah, thanks for asking. The reality is, if you look at that profile from about 35 to about about 45 miles, right to the top of Trail Creek, really, that's where probably the game is won or lost. And the reality is, the place that's going to happen is not only your legs, but it's going to be up here. So I have this bit of advice on your mental game in this section, because you can really make a difference here, right? We always tend to think about, this hurts and I'm suffering, and they teach you to ignore it, ignore the pain, shut off that voice, don't pretend like you're not suffering. That doesn't work too well, because the reality is you're suffering. What I want you to do is accept it, embrace it. If you're going to do epic stuff, if you're going to do something big, you have to accept that in. And once you accept it, here's the trick, right? That's okay. That's part of doing it. That's part of being epic. It's part of what you're doing. But you also have to accept everybody else is likely feeling exactly the same way. And all you need to do is just go a little bit harder, just deal with that mental suffering a little bit better. So if you just own it, and accept that everybody around you, everybody behind you, and likely the people maybe a little in front of you, they've all gone through the same pain. They're going through the same pain. So it's not like win or lose, pass or fail. Like either I totally shut it off and I succeed, or I totally fall victim to it. It's something in between, in the gray area. I can accept it. Everybody else is struggling. And all I need to do is give a little bit more to make up a lot of ground, because there's a lot of people in the mental game who will be like, this really hurts. And they surrender.
Yeah.
So accept it, push on.
It's such a good point. Just suffer a little better. And you know what I find too is what's really motivating for me in this section. Like, even if you're passing someone, I'll give a yell to somebody and be like, "You got it, we're almost there." There's moral support out there, and you do feel like you're alone, but you're not alone. The course will be really spread out. People will be really spread out, but you'll see onesies and twosies, and you'll find people. So give a little energy, and that'll to someone else, and that actually boosts you a little bit too. And just know you're not alone out there. No matter how good or bad it feels, it won't last. That's someone gave me that advice a long time ago. And before you know it, you'll be up the backside of Trail Creek, and you'll be ready for that huge descent home, which is the Trail Creek descent. So you hit that aid station one more time. I would suggest, you're not finished yet. It does seem like it's all downhill to the end, but it's not quite all downhill to the end. So you hit Trail Creek descent. You're about 10 or 11 miles from home. Here's where you are on the map. Let's see. So the Trail Creek descent starts at, oh, we've got 91 miles. That's not correct because you're doing the French fry route. So you are at about 40, I think you're about 45 miles
45.
in the course here. So you've got about 10 miles to go, 11 miles to go to get to the finish, which is at the Red Bull banner at mile 56. So here we go. Trail Creek descent tips. So I'm going to try not to scare you too much, but I am an event director, and my number one goal is that everybody reaches the finish line safely. I don't care how fast or slow you go. I want you to go through that Red Bull arch and that other second finish arch safely with a smile on your face or tears in your eyes or whatever it is, but I want you to get there safely. So this part of the course, it's not gonna make your finish. Like we said, the backside is really the sleeper part where you have the opportunity to really, elevate your performance or to move up in the leaderboard there. The descent is not the place to do it. That's not where you're going to make up time. So your goal here is maybe get a little nutrition at the top at the Trail Creek aid station because you still have 11 miles to go. But you're toasted. You're almost done. And so maybe a little Red Bull, a goo at the top, in your mouth, just so that you keep your wits about you on the descent. It's a 1,400-foot descent, single lane mountain road with 1,000-foot drop off, no guardrail off the side. You're not going to fly off the side of the road, but there is oncoming traffic and there are blind corners. So I'll just emphasize, please don't cut the corners. It's not worth it. Those vehicles can't see you coming. You're coming at high speeds. So stay right and stay alert, stay relaxed. That's a good tip for descending is relax your mind, relax your body. That's why I say get a little energy at the top of the climb and some nutrition, because it will actually help you stay focused on the descent. Take a deep breath, relax, get down there safely, and keep in mind there are vehicles coming up. It's a one-lane road, and often, unfortunately, you're looking for the best line. You're kind of shopping for the smoothest line, and often the smoothest line is on the inside left corner. Don't do it. Don't take that inside corner. It is not worth it. Slow down. Stop if you need to rest on the way down. Many people stop, shake their hands out, shake their arms out, take a beautiful photo. I think one of the hardest parts of this descent is actually keeping your eyes on the road because the view is so stunning. Tim and I, when we were riding it, we actually stopped a bunch of times to take pictures. Totally okay. Do that on the right side of the road. There are pullouts where you can safely get off the road if you need to. But yeah, take it easy down here. You don't want to get a flat or a crash, 10 miles from home. But you are on your way home. So enjoy it. Enjoy the view. You hit the pavement about 3/4 of the way down. And I'm going to tell you, there is this collective sigh that every single person in the race is going to do when you hit that pavement. It's like, oh, okay. All of a sudden it feels smooth. Your arms relax and you're almost there. However, you got about 5 miles of rollers to the end. So once you hit the pavement, you still, people are always surprised by this. You still have some work to do. And I know Coach Tim has some good tips for when you get to this pavement section, and anything about the descending tips or what to do once you hit the pavement, Coach.
Yeah, so let's talk the science of speed here a little bit. And it's for some good coaching. When you're riding a bike, there's two main forces working against you: air resistance and rolling resistance. Rolling resistance is linear, and the simplest example is if you had 10% more rolling resistance, you would need to pedal 10% more harder to maintain the same speed. Air resistance is exponential, so raised to the fourth power. So the reality is, the faster you go, the demand, the need to pedal harder doesn't go up in this nice, clean little linear, number. It shoots up rather rapidly. So when you're going down this hill and when everything is fast, we tend to want to like make up time, get ahead when it's fast. And the reality is, when everybody's moving 30, 35 miles an hour, whatever number you're safely capable of descending at, it's hard to make up time, because the demand, if you're the person you're chasing is going 30 and you have to go 35, that's a significant uptick in energy output and how hard you have to pedal to catch that person. So what often happens, though, people don't think about that air resistance problem. And when speeds are higher, you feel a little better. I'm kind of coasting. I have a little energy. Speeds are higher. I can catch them, but the energy needed to really catch them is higher. It's tricky, right? The thing you want to do is on the gravel section, relax, be smooth. Great advice from Rebecca. Just maintain your position. You shouldn't be chasing hard on there, because not only are you going to burn more energy, it's very easy to get yourself in trouble having to hard brake and basically slow down to a stop, and then all that energy is doubly wasted. But when you get about, I think it's about 8 miles down and it flips, it might even be a little further. It's about 7.5 is somewhere it flips to pavement. There are a series of rollers. And if you understand the power of air resistance, here's how you can leverage it. Your bonus for being on our course, right? You will make up more time against your competitors, pushing harder up the uphills and a little lighter downhill. Because think about that exponential demand for power. When you're going 12, 15, 16, 20 miles up the hill, going 10% harder results in more speed. Going downhill, going 10% harder actually results in less speed gained. So the way you want to burn those probably absolute final little matches you have, store it up a little on the gravel section, fast, smooth, safe. You hit that pavement, you hit those rollers. I would crush every single roller. That's where you empty the tank on the uphills. And there's just, back to like 80%. Don't coast down the downside, but you don't need to burn. You'll make up more time on your competitors because their natural trade is going to be uphill a little slower. And then once they get their speed, they're going to want to go downhill a little faster. You'll make up more time chasing them on the uphills.
Yeah, it's good advice. You sort of flip your mentality. And this is kind of what we said before, is the place to make your move is the backside of Trail Creek, because that's kind of a sleeper part of the course. You descend safely. And then these rollers, I'm going to tell you, they really take people by surprise. You, like Tim said, you have 7.5 miles of rollers on pavement that people, they just think, oh, it's all downhill to the end from the top of Trail Creek. And that's not the case. And so that last, 5 to 7 miles is really an opportunity. And just mentally knowing it's coming means you're not going to get all bummed out. You're like, okay, I know these rollers are coming, and they're not long hills. They're 30 seconds, a minute at the most, and you really can get some momentum over those and then coast it down, momentum over. And it's really a fun part of the course if you know that it's coming and you're ready for it and you're pacing for it, like Coach Tim says. All right, and the moment you've all been waiting for, the finish line. So this pops up along those rollers. So again, keep track of your mileage, because you can't see the finish arch until the last little hill. If you look in that bottom picture, you can't see it. You come over that last roller and you're like, oh, there it is. And it's sort of a blind finish right until you're right up upon it. So keep that in mind. I'll also note that the finish is not where we started. So we start right in Festival Meadows, neutral rollout all together. But we finish at this Red Bull Arch that is outside of town about a mile. And the reason for that is safety. So we're not ripping through town, ripping through stoplights. So your timing ends here. So once you're through that arch, take a minute, relax, high five, celebrate your achievements, grab a Red Bull, you know, hug some people, and then you'll have a neutral roll into the second finish line, which is at Festival Meadows. That's your ceremonial finish line. And so race up to the Red Bull Arch, but then take it easy and take a chill. And remember, it's a little bit of a blind finish. So now that you know those rollers are coming, and you can note where this location is on the way out, on the start, you can look there, there's a gun club, you'll see the arch there, and you'll be like, okay, that's where the finish is. So put that in your head. Knowledge is power. It just really gives you confidence while you're out there on course, of knowing where the hills are, knowing where the finish line is. So there we go. Now we're gonna just jump back a little bit. I want to give you a little bit of information on what's at the aid stations, what mileages they are, again, because hopefully this class is about making your race plan. And whether you're racing to complete or racing to win, you all need a race plan. And so we're going to dive a little bit into the aid stations so you know where they are and what's at them, what to expect. And then you can go from there. So you basically have two aid stations that you hit on the outbound and the inbound. So Trail Creek, as we said, it's the top of the climb, 12 miles. At every rest stop, you're going to find some important things. You're going to find water. You're going to find GU nutrition. You're going to find Red Bull. You're going to find some bananas, you know, that kind of stuff. You're also going to find our communications staff. As I said, this is a very remote course. There's no cell phone coverage. We have to work with the ham radios and repeaters. So you're going to have communication at every rest stop. If something is happening, you need to report an injury, whatever it is, get to a rest stop. We also have medical there, and we also have some bike tools and a little bit of mechanical help. And communication and food and water and high fives and all of our volunteers. So at every rest stop, that's kind of your zone. What's that?
Porta John.
Oh, yes. And we have a Porta John. Thank you. Porta potties are at all the rest stops as well. And I would ask you please to use those. It's an important part of our permit that all trash and all human waste goes in the appropriate receptacle. So yeah, please don't do that kind of stuff out on course. And remember, my name is on your number plate, so it comes back to me. But yeah, it's a pristine, beautiful area. So porta potties and trash cans are at those locations as well. So you'll hit Trail Creek, top of Trail Creek climb the first time about 12 miles in. You can plan, you know, if you want to stop there or fill water or whatever it is, that's part of your own personal race strategy of what to carry, what to refill at each aid station. Wild Horse, you'll hit at mile 24. And remember, that is the most congested place on the course because you've got the baked potato and the French fry people all there at the same time, and potato gun shooting happening, and a course split happening there. So you'll do your Wild Horse loop, mile 32, you'll hit it again. And this is where the course split is. Pay attention there, make sure you go left, and then you'll head back towards home. There is a second course split along that big Lost River Valley that I didn't mention. The baked potato people will make a turn and head onto a section called El Diablito. The French fry, you do not take that turn. And there will be signs there, but just pay attention. You keep straight on the main road, keep heading into that long 10-mile climb. You don't take that little El Diablito diversion. So there's two course splits to pay attention to, one at mile 32 and one at about mile 40-ish. The course, and then the backside of Trail Creek, you'll hit Trail Creek again your second time at about mile 44 and a half, 45, and then you got about 11 miles to the finish. So those are your aid stations. And Tim, I know, the reason that we cover this is so that you can make a bit of a race plan. You plan how many hours do we think it's going to take me? And here we got here's some average winning times, average times, slowest times. So depending on you, depending on your speed, your goals, it's really good to kind of make a plan of how long you think you'll be on course, how much nutrition you need to bring, what clothes you need to bring, what kind of pace you're shooting for. So Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about the race times, aid stations, and making a bit of a plan?
Yeah, in the Boost Your Gravel course that you were talking about earlier, there's a whole section about race planning and how you break it out, how you come up with your race plan, because the answer is pretty robust and it's a longer answer. But that being said, I'll answer it in a simpler way. You need a plan. Like, not having a plan is planning to fail. So you should look at this. And again, you're going to go at most people who do RPI generally have a really clear plan to compete or to complete. So they want to place in a top 10 or top 5 or win, or they just want to hit a certain hour. And don't get me wrong, you want the best place. Those two have a certain amount of overlap, and the people who want to win still have a pace, but you tend to have it as your main goal. This is great knowledge on the screen where you see winning, average, and slowest times. You should be able to look and do some comparison. You should know like your numbers and what your average speed expected is, this and that, and build a race plan. And in your race plan, you should think about 3 key things. 1, pace, right? How fast, how hard, what are you going to do? Where do you put out your energy on the course? 2, nutrition, because your nutrition goes hand in hand with that pace. If you're pushing harder, you need more fuel. Where you're pushing less, maybe you need a little less fuel. Always overestimate, but that. And then 3, you really need an environmental element. What's my clothing strategy? When am I thinking about, because it's never perfect, right? You always have to adapt on the course. Most people, when I go to these events and I see thousands of people riding out, most people wear too many clothes. They overheat. They make these little things. But if you have a plan in advance, then at least you have guidelines. You have what I call the banks of the river. Now you're going to have to adjust tactically in the event, but at least you have those banks in place. So just, yes, have a plan. Know your goal, know your pace, know your environment, be prepared for it, and eat the right food.
Yeah, and there's no cutoff on the French fry route, so you don't have to worry about that. And I will just say, I'll reiterate, in the other course in Rusch Academy, Boost Your Gravel Game, Tim goes really deep into how to set your own pacing plan and nutrition. So if that's a topic you want to dive a little deeper into, head on over to that class, and that's going to give you a ton of really good information. So we have arrived at the finish line. We've gone through every single mile of the course for you. I've given you some of my personal tips, Tim's tips, really with the goal of helping you execute a beautiful event day and to really have a good time and to meet your goals. I'll just review a few things. We talked about these a lot already, but just a little bit of cliff notes at the end here. And that picture that you see on the right in Festival Meadows, the person going through the finish line, and there's the nice big arch, and you see Mountain Sun Valley Ski Resort in the back. That is your second finish line. So after you go through the Red Bull Arch, the timing stops. Then you take Mellow, your parade route into town to this second finish arch. And this is where the party really starts after completing your course. So tips, just a little bit of review. Don't sweat the start. It's a neutral rollout. It's no big deal. Everybody's having a good time. It's your opportunity to warm up, get your layering down. Many people are pulling over, taking off a jacket because they have, too many clothes on, but don't sweat the start. It's really fun. It's festive. It's a nice way to actually get rolling in the morning. Second is safety first. As I've already reiterated, these are open roads. We're sharing the road with other people. We do not have a closed course. And so my ask of you is that you treat this like your own hometown, and you ride respectfully and stay to the right, and you're riding safely. And also note that it's a very remote course. There is no cell phone coverage. And as I said earlier, we're using ham radios, repeaters, EMS on motorcycles. There's quite a bit of logistics to make sure that you have a safe event. but treat it that way. It's different than riding in a place where you can call, you can call your mom to come pick you up at any time. You can't really call your mom out there. So we are all kind of in a traveling road show out there together in a very remote section. It's what makes it special, but it's also a safety consideration when you're out there to ride within your limits. Make sure, you're taking care of yourself out there because it is quite remote and quite special out there. A big climb, as we know, Trail Creek is a big climb and it's a dangerous descent. And so treat both the climb and the descent with respect that it deserves. Wind, dust, elevation, temperatures, those are all considerations that when you make your race plan, think about those things because those are going to affect you emotionally and physically, all four of those things. Pay attention to the course splits, stay on the course that you wanted to be on. It's always better if you do what you signed up to do. And that's just, people just miss those if they aren't paying attention. They're too caught up in the stress of it and they aren't paying attention. So take a minute when there's those course splits, look at, the color of your number plate, the color of the sign, and go in that direction, or the words, if you can't see color, it's written. And then also make friends out there. I mean, there's 1,500 riders in this race, but I called it Rebecca's Private Idaho because you will see when you're out there, there's a lot of solitude and time alone or just with a few people, and embrace that because it's so rare for us to get out of cell phone range and have a beautiful, quiet, open ride. It's really special. So make sure, no matter how much you're suffering, that you take a minute to pull your head up, look around, take your eyes off your top tube and look at the beautiful scenery, because I designed this course really to take people out there. And so I hope you really do enjoy how special it is. Reminder, the timing finish is at the Red Bull Arch before town, so you can be neutral into town. And then one thing that I really, one thing I have, it's a saying, is called to be a gravel shark. And I learned the letter shark from a first grader who taught me the rules of her first grade class. And I basically brought them into gravel because I think they're a really great way these are really the only rules you need. So when in doubt out on course, being a gravel shark, shark stands for, the S stands for safe. Number one, be safe out there. Number two, be honest out there. Accountable for yourself and the cycling community and the people around there, being responsible, and lastly, being kind. If you follow those things, safe, honest, accountable, responsible, kind, then you really don't need any other rules. So if in doubt out there, be a gravel shark and you can't go wrong. And then last, a couple things here. The reason I launched Private Idaho 10 years ago is that to bring amazing people together, to ride with purpose. As you know, this is a Be Good Foundation fundraising ride, and to collect people in a really special place. And those three things put together, people, purpose, place, it's why I launched this event. It's why we're here. So if you need to remind yourself of some of those things when you're out there on course, that's always a good way for me to remember why we're out there in the first place. And mostly, gravel for good. That's why we're here. It's a super fun event. I can't wait for you to experience it and hear what it's like for you. Tim, do you have any Cliff Notes tips before we wrap this up?
Yeah, two areas. One, this lesson has taught you about different segments of the course. In the article below, Rebecca actually rode these sections or key sections, filmed her riding, filmed the road like the rider's view, and narrates and walks you through it. So now that you've listened to our verbal overview, go watch the key sections of the course that she's talking about. You'll get a really good feel of the gravel, what the road looks like, what is the gravel type, everything you need to know. So there are awesome resources right down below in the article. Two, in this entire course, there's great information about preparing, about nutrition, about our course overviews and this and that. Apply it. Build your plan, think about all those things you're learning, make a practical application of everything you've learned here, bring that into RPI. If this is your first year, this is invaluable. I mean, I wish I had thought of this back in my racing days and then somebody had a course about races I was going to. Be prepared. If you've been there before and you're watching this course, I bet you found out some new ideas like, that's right, I made that mistake last year. Don't make that mistake again. Learn from the course, write out, record your plan, figure out how to apply it, use this learning and translate it into application. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, those super good points. Yeah, the course videos are really fun, and you get intimate knowledge. It's me writing the courses. I'm doing color
Talking.
commentary, talking to the camera. You hear me breathing. But there's nothing like seeing a course. So now that we've gone through the whole profile mile for mile, now get the visual, put it in your brain, look at the maps, go do a little studying. And I have to say, first of all, you're already winning because you're already doing the preparation that many people are not doing. They just go in blind and they're nervous and they don't know what everything's going to be like. So now that you've completed this course preview, you're going to come into the French fry route with so much confidence. And even if you're still nervous, it's still a big climb. It doesn't flatten out the climb, but what it does is give you the emotional confidence so that you can put all the stress and worry into your legs and not into your brain. So thank you for joining us. I really hope this was helpful, and I'm so excited to see you out on course. So we'll see you in Idaho.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. Bye now.